Um, if you're a teacher and you're watching our video, you will notice that my lesson will come straight from the book Notice and Note, Strategies for Close Reading. It's by Kylene Beers and Robert Probst, and it's a really good book. I compared a lot to Mosaic of Thought in some of our comprehension work we've done before because it gives you exact lessons of things to try. So the lessons that you see today will be about one of the close reading strategies. Okay, close reading helps us read better. And I know in both of your classes you've been reading books that are hard and hard to figure out, and you've been working on the Common Core strategies. So if we have strategies to help us know what to do with those harder texts, it's just going to be like a key unlocking the text for you. So today I'm going to teach you one of those keys, okay? We want to notice some things in the book, and we want to know why we're noticing it. We want to figure out why we're noticing it. So I just told you about the book that I was reading that gave me these ideas, and they are really cool, and I do think they will really help you as you become readers of harder and harder text. The name of the strategy for close reading that we're going to do today is called Again and Again. Very straightforward name, and the teacher who wrote this thought it was a really good strategy to use because it lets us notice patterns. You notice patterns in math, you notice patterns in science, social studies, probably the work that you're doing in class, you've been noticing patterns. But today we're just going to start looking at books and noticing a pattern. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, just listen before you open your book. When we notice that something happens over and over again, we have to do something about it. We have to think, why is the author doing this? Or what does the teacher want me to notice? Why does she keep doing it again and again? We want to wonder about it. We want to think about what it might mean. If we don't think about these things that we find, it won't help us know what the story is about. So when we read words in a book, we might notice them, not notice the first time that they're there. But what if they're there again and again, every time? What's the author doing with that? Well, we're going to use that strategy to try to figure out what this book means, the one that's in front of you today. Now, I made a poster to help us. Anytime you come to something that happens again and again, you want to stop. And then you want to notice and note it. So when you're reading and you notice a word or a phrase, an object or a situation mentioned over and over, you should stop and ask yourself, why does this keep showing up again and again? The answers will tell you about the theme and conflict, or they might foreshadow what will happen later. We'll talk about that more when we get into the book. But this is our main question that we're going to look for. Why does this keep showing up again and again? That's what we're going to ask ourselves when we find the words that repeat. And I did choose this book just because it does have some repetitions. Okay? So, let's go ahead and get started. Everybody open up. I'm going to read it the first time through, so if you guys will just follow along and notice it as you go. This book is called A Sweet Smell of Roses. Now, before we go on, let me give you some Post-it notes because I want you to see if you notice where it happens, where the again and again is, where the words start repeating. So you guys take those. If you guys will split those in half and put Post-it notes when you notice something's happening again and again. And you might not notice it the first time. We might have to read it more than once. After a night of soft rain, there is a sweet smell of roses as my sister Minnie and I slip past Mama's door and out of the house down Charlotte Street. Past the early morning milkman, over the cobbled bridge, and through the curb market. To where everybody waits to march. Minnie and I are only waist high to most of them. Waist high, Minnie and me, waist high, holding hands and waiting to march. I notice some of you are noticing something. If you want to mark it, you can. If you don't think it's important, it's okay. We'll talk about it later. There is a sweet smell of roses as everyone waits for Dr. King to speak. And the colors, bright light from the sun on the flowers beside the road as we listen to Dr. King on the megaphone say, "We are right. We march for equality and freedom." Then we start to march, Minnie and me. We look ahead and walk faster like him, clapping in time with our feet, looking ahead just like him. There is a sweet smell of roses, even as we march past the people who scream, shout, and say, "You are not right. Equality can't be yours." Then we look farther down the road and keep holding hands, feeling part of it all, walking our way toward freedom. There is a sweet smell of roses as more people start marching with us, pouring out of the side streets, clapping and singing, "Freedom, freedom." Then someone picks me up and puts me on his shoulders. Somebody picks Minnie up too, and we are high above everybody, still marching. There is a sweet smell of roses as we gather in the center of town, all together, all here, listening to Dr. King as the sun gets higher in the sky. He talks about peace, love, nonviolence, and change for everybody, and the sun gets higher in the sky. When it's time to go, we skip back hand in hand, Minnie and me, singing freedom songs along the streets. Through the curb market, over the cobbled bridge, and past the mailman, to our house on Charlotte Street. Then there is Mama, worried face, waiting there for us. And there is a sweet smell of roses all through our house. So what'd you notice? I noticed some of you found some again and again right away, but did you see anything else? Mia? Go.
I just found
Say it again.
I just found that.
Okay, and what did you find?
It on the page it kept saying waist high, and I found that it kept saying there is a sweet smell of roses.
Okay, so that one page did like waist high, waist high, waist high. Many of you marked that. She's also noticing that there was this sweet smell of roses. How many times did you find it? Faith?
5.
It was 5 times. Okay, so that would be one of the first, that's what you want to do first when you're doing a close reading using, and you find the again and again strategy. Let's see how many times it is there. Let me see. So what I want you to notice from our session right now is, why do you think the author would use the again and again strategy? Why does she want us to think about a sweet smell of roses? You think it might be love? Well, what I want you to do right now is tell me again, what's that strategy we did today for close reading, everybody? Again and again. If you don't remember, it's right up here. So tomorrow when we meet together again, we're going to talk about exactly what a sweet smell of roses might be.